I know you worry a lot. And you don't want to worry. You're probably worried all your life. And you just can't stop yourself. And it keeps you from having the peace of mind that you want, or really being present with the people you love, because you're worried. It could be about your job, could be about your marriage or your relationship, could be about a medical situation, a relative who's sick. You might be worried about not being able to pay your bills. And you can't control it. You find you can't stop it. You want to, you would like not to worry, but you can't do it. You felt humiliated or put down on a job by your supervisor, by your manager. You come home, you're still thinking about it. Your significant other's talking to you, but you're not hearing that person because you can't get out of your mind what was said to you. It was so wrong, so unjust, so nasty, so demeaning. You can't stop thinking about it. You'd like to stop. Tell your wife, this is what he said to me. And all the time, maybe going on vacation, you keep thinking about it. She says, well, just snap out of it. Okay. How do I snap out of it? Keep thinking about it. So humiliating. And you're thinking about it, but you don't want to be thinking about it. Trying to lose weight, watching for your health, but you can't stop thinking about having that chocolate cake that you saw in the supermarket. You just can't stop. It's just, it looks like you're really talking to whoever you're with, but really thinking about that chocolate cake, and you can't stop yourself from thinking about it. And you're a strong person. You achieve a lot. And people, who know you, don't know how powerless you are over your own thoughts, your own feelings. You don't want to be upset about what your spouse said to you or what your boss said to you. You'd like to just forget about it. But you can't. You're disturbed by it. And it may go on for a day or two. May go on for a week or two. Could go on for a month or two. More extreme cases, it can go on for years. And you just can't shake it. Snap out of it. You just can't shake it. You just can't get out of it. You can't snap out of it. These are things, shake it off, shake it off. Well, what are you talking about shaking it off? What are you talking about snapping out of it? Very naive concept. This is the powerlessness that we have over ourselves. Now, I'll be talking about the tremendous power we have. We have enormous power, enormous. But what I want to focus on now is the powerlessness that we have. And I'm just going to tell you, you're in good company. You're not alone with this. I'm going to hear something from Paul, who's the Apostle Paul, who really was tremendously instrumental in bringing Christianity to the people. In Romans 7:15, the Apostle Paul writes, I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. That's Apostle Paul, a very profoundly spiritual man. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. Powerless over himself. And here's a man who was filled with the Holy Spirit. He's filled with it, inspired. And look how powerless he was over his actions, underneath that, under his thoughts. You're in good company, is what I'm trying to tell you. This is normal. Now, there was a very famous philosopher, Alan Watts. He was in his 60s. He was brilliant. The guy was a genius. He was so articulate, so educated, so knowledgeable. He was instrumental in bringing the teachings of the East, the mysticism, the wisdom teachings to the West. You look up Alan Watts, you listen to his lectures, unbelievable. I'm going to read you something about Alan. Alan Watts taught the West how to let go, while privately drinking himself towards an early death. Watts became the voice of Eastern philosophy for a generation, searching for meaning. Zen, Taoism, detachment, ego death. His lectures promised liberation from anxiety and illusion. Millions listened. Few noticed the fracture underneath. Behind the talks, Watts was unraveling. He drank constantly, not socially, habitually. Alcohol followed him through lectures, recordings, and retreats. Friends described the man who could explain freedom with brilliance, then disappear into addiction hours later. His marriages collapsed. His family life suffered. The serenity was real in theory and broken in practice. The contradiction grew louder with fame. Oh, he became very famous. Watts warned against gurus while becoming one. He criticized Western materialism while living comfortably off of lecture circuits. He spoke about non-attachment while struggling to control his own impulses. That's what we're talking about, controlling our own impulses. Students sensed the gap but did not want to name it. Watts named it himself. He admitted he was not a saint, not an example, not enlightened. He said his role was to point, not to embody. That honesty saved his work and doomed his body. He never fully stopped drinking. In 1973, Alan Watts died at 58 years old. The scandal was not hypocrisy, it was honesty without rescue. Alan Watts showed millions how to question the self, but his life revealed a harsher truth most teachers avoid. Insight does not cure pain, awareness does not guarantee peace, and wisdom does not protect you from the habits you cannot put down. So we're talking about Paul, one of the great leaders of Christianity. Alan Watts, brilliant man, genius. And you see the powerlessness. I'm telling you about that. Why? Because I know you can't control so much of yourself. I know that. Anybody who's smoking says, yeah, I'd like to stop someday. I know I'm killing myself. I just can't do it. You want to stop eating junk food because you're getting diabetic, you're getting metabolic syndrome, and you just can't stop. You're just so tempted by the ice creams and the cakes. You want to stop, but you can't. You just have that craving. Or it might be alcohol or drugs or pornography. I should stop. This is wrong. But I can't stop thinking about it. I'll do a little self-disclosure here. There'll be a period of my life. I mean, chocolate's very healthy, especially the dark chocolate. So I could be here talking to you or even giving a lecture. It looks like I was really here, but I wasn't. I was thinking about chocolate. But it started making my blood pressure go up and down because of the caffeine, so I gave it up. But I was addicted to chocolate, and I wasn't eating huge quantities, but it was definitely an addiction. Has a lot of health benefits to it, but at the same time, distracting. I was distracted by it. But, as I say, we have tremendous power. We're going to talk about the great powers that we have also. Tremendous power. So it takes an awareness. I mean, for Paul to see that he did that which he hates, he did, and that which he would do, he didn't do. That's very aware. That requires two things, which were amazing: awareness and self-honesty. And he was being transparent with everybody, with us. He put it right there in the Bible. Watts had the awareness that he wasn't a saint, that he wasn't living what he was teaching. He said he's a pointer, not somebody who embodies this, but he points to these truths. So that took awareness and self-honesty, which is going to be required to be able to deal with our powerlessness. Now, the title of today's presentation is How to Deal with Your Own Dishonorable Thoughts, Words, and Actions. How to deal with your own dishonorable thoughts, words, and actions. And I know you're having them. I'm having them. But how should we deal with that? And how pervasive is this powerlessness? And what power do we have to manage it and transcend our powerlessness? I know I'm speaking to you. I know you're hearing me because I know that you're not controlling some key parts of yourself. But I want to give you hope that you can make progress in this area. And basically, what we're going to be talking about is how to make an honorable plan. It's a plan to be more honorable, but the other way of phrasing this is how to become less dishonorable, because you're having thoughts, words, and actions that are not honorable. So sometimes we want to have a plan so you can transcend and become honorable, but at times, I just want to be less dishonorable. It's a different kind of plan. I want to be less dishonorable. Two things. I want to be honorable. Maybe I just can't quite do that now. So I want to be less dishonorable. That's legitimate. An honorable plan, a plan to be less dishonorable. This is very valuable. We're all in positions. Somebody that's smoking knows he's killing himself. He knows that he could become a burden to his wife because he can have a stroke and a heart attack or get cancer, and he's going to be a burden to the hospitals, a burden to his wife. He wants to stop. He has a plan. I'm going to stop. It's very dishonorable. I'm going to make myself a burden to my family and to the hospitals and to society. But I can't stop. So I'm using this as an example. So the question is, I'm not ready to be fully honorable and put this down. But how can I be less dishonorable? How can I be less dishonorable? And this is an example I'm using, but it applies to so many areas of life. How can I be less dishonorable? Well, you could say, I smoke in the house, exposing my children, my dog, my wife to secondhand smoke. So I'm not only killing myself when I'm smoking, but I'm poisoning them. I'll be less dishonorable. I'm not going to be totally honorable and stop, which I should do, but I can't. I'll smoke outside. I won't smoke in the house anymore. That's a plan to be less dishonorable. And that's valuable. I want you to have that idea. Sometimes in life we can just stop. Boom. I had smoked cigars for 20 years, on and off. Had a heart attack. My wife was very afraid it would kill me. I figured, I didn't inhale it. I thought, I could smoke this. I don't inhale it. But I knew if I dropped dead of a heart attack, she would come to my grave and curse at me. So I said, all right, I'm going to stop for her. Secretly planning in 6 months, I'm going to go back to smoking cigars. 4 months later, the urge started subsiding, and I haven't touched cigars in over 20 years. So I had a plan. It wasn't a completely honorable plan because my plan was to go back to smoking in 6 months. I found after 4 months, the urge was not all consuming, especially after you would eat or you'd be with some company, some of the guys that are smoking. I'd want a cigar. 4 months. There's so many aspects like this. So now, I want to show you right now, demonstrate to you 100% to prove to you how much power you do have and how to use this power and how to deal with your own dishonorable thoughts, words, and actions. Right now, have a pleasant memory. Think of somebody saw today that you love, or think of something you ate today that you really enjoyed. Take a moment and have a pleasant memory. Now, that's power. Look what you did. You did it rapidly, naturally, easily. A 6-year-old could do it if you ask them to do it. But look what you achieved. You chose the polarity of your thought. It wasn't a negative thought. It wasn't unpleasant. It was a pleasant thought. It was a positive thought. You chose that. What a power that is. What a power. And secondly, you chose the time dimension. It wasn't the future or the present. It was a thought about the past. Like you want to become a time traveler. Boom. You went back to the past. No other species can do that. Other species can do problem solving. They have emotions, they problem solve, but they can't choose their thoughts. That's a great power that we have. I know you take it for granted, but it's a great power, and I'm going to demonstrate it to you. Right now, I'm going to ask you to have a thought 3 times. I wish you well. Have that thought 3 times. I know you did it rapidly, naturally, easily. Look what you did. You chose the exact thought you want to have, the power of your volition, and you chose how many times you want to have the thought, 3 times. Now, you could choose that particular thought and say, I would do it 3 times a day. I wish you well. And you could also choose whenever I'm getting negative thoughts towards anybody that I don't want, I can also speak a little light into that darkness and go, I wish you well. Have the thought, I wish you well. So somebody offends you, you walk around thinking about it, ruminating on it, can't stop thinking about it, you come home with it disturbed. Then you speak a little light into that darkness. You go, I wish you well. I wish you well. Wish you well, my brother, I really do. It's a beautiful thing. But it was based on your volition. So, on one hand, you were powerless to stop thinking about this situation. On the other hand, you were able to speak light into that darkness. You didn't fight the darkness. You simply put a little light, you spoke a little light into it. You balanced it. So when you're having these thoughts you don't want to have, you can balance it. Now, let's take it another step, a plan to be less dishonorable. Let's say you take a drug dealer, and he's just making a good livelihood. He just can't give it up. He just can't make that kind of money doing anything else. How would he make a plan to be less dishonorable? Not to be honorable because he doesn't want to give up, but he's making too much money. But what kind of plan could he make to be less dishonorable? So he says, it's not a good business. I'm hurting people a lot. The money's good, but people get a nice high from it, so I'm doing some good while I'm at it. But I'm not going to sell to anybody under 18. Some of my best customers are high school and junior high school. I'm not going to sell to them anymore. Still going to be a drug dealer, which is not honorable, but he's being less dishonorable. He's not going to be selling to minors. So he takes a little hit in there, loses some income, but still doing really well as a drug dealer. He says, some of these people have come around. I could see the drugs just killing. The person's just wasted. And I'm hearing some get violent and attacking people. I know who they are, the 3 or 4 guys I have like that. I'm not going to sell to them. I'll sell to other people. I'm not going to sell to those 3 guys. I'm just, I'm telling them, I'm not going to be your dealer anymore. Find some other way. I don't like what you're doing. Still a drug dealer, still not being honorable. So that's a plan to be less dishonorable. Now, You may have somebody who says, you know, I don't really like getting these thoughts towards my spouse. I love this person, but I'm getting very negative thoughts. So the plan is, an honorable plan, is to balance the negativity with a loving statement. So the statement would be, whenever I have negative thoughts towards my spouse, I'm going to say to myself, I love you and I wish you well. I love you and I wish you well. So now the person does something, get really annoyed. It's just so annoying. That's just so annoying. I love you and I wish you well. So that's an honorable plan. You can't help. I mean, you have two types of thoughts. The ones that pop in your mind but do not define who you are. It's based on your family upbringing, societal norms, and genetics. You're not responsible for that. And then you have the thoughts you can choose to have, such as I wish you well, I love you, and the four commands of honor, very honorable thoughts, the commands of honor and supremacy of honor code, many thoughts that I've talked about in various lectures. So you're getting annoyed with her, and you think to yourself, you're having this, what a nuisance. I love you, sweetheart, and I wish you well. You're speaking that light into that darkness, and that's an honorable plan. It's an honorable plan. You can't control the negative thoughts coming in, but you can control the thought you're going to balance it with. You can speak light into that darkness. So that's an honorable plan. So now you've seen the plan to be less dishonorable and a plan to be honorable. And this affects your thoughts, words, and actions. Now, let's say you know you've been harsh with somebody you love. But you feel pride, you don't want to apologize. Well, we have some of the laws of honor which go, I apologize, I was wrong, you were right, I'll never do it again. Please forgive me, I've not always lived with honor, but I'll die with honor. Those are some of the laws of humility, of humbleness. Part of the laws of honor. See, reciting that, you might even just recite, I apologize, please forgive me. You just take those, you keep those going 3 times a day for a lifetime. So that plan, you still slip at times. You say things you wish you didn't say, but because you're vigilant and aware and self-honest, say, I was wrong. Sweetheart, I apologize. Please forgive me. I won't do it again. So that's a plan to speak more honorable words. You've taken responsibility for what you've done. And one of the commands of honor is I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problem. Sweetheart, I take responsibility for what I said. I really regret it. I apologize. Please forgive me. I won't do it again. Well, that's honorable. So that's a plan to be honorable. From time to time, we're all going to slip. We're going to say something, oh my God, that's not right what I'm saying. This is just adding fuel to the fire. So these are plans of how to be less dishonorable and the plans of how to be honorable. Honorable plans. And what we have a situation where you're so powerful, and so powerless, Both. And of course, people who are spiritually inclined or believe in God, they say, well, God is the all-powerful, and they ask God to strengthen them to do good, to be honorable. Or say, I just leave this in your hands, God, because I'm impure, but I leave this in your hands. It could drive a person, this imperfections that we have drive us closer to God. One of the derivatives of the command of honor is this. I'm grateful, God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. And the trials and tribulations that most of us have created, we've created it. We've co-created it. I'm 84 years old, been a psychologist for over 50 years. Most of my suffering, 99% of it, I caused to myself. Absolutely. So I take responsibility for that and do what I can to not repeat that and grow from it and grow in wisdom. And also from the suffering and the damage that we've done through our dishonorable thoughts, words, and actions causes suffering to others and causes us to suffer. And through that suffering, that's part of the basis for many of us becoming wiser, becoming more wisdom, and also having compassion for others. Somebody slips up and does something, you go, wow, I'm pretty powerless over, I do some pretty stupid things too. I forgive you, brother. I understand. So it leads to compassion. Also leads to more humility, the errors that we're doing. But I want to put you in touch with how powerful you are. And I want you to also own your powerlessness. That's the human condition. The power, the powerlessness. You're so powerful, you're so weak. Applies to me, applies to you. Well, it's been my pleasure to present to you how to deal with your own dishonorable thoughts, words, and actions. Now I want to open it up to our wonderful audience, our beautiful people that come here. And when you speak up, it's as important or more important than what I have to say, because when people hear you, they go, wow, I'm not alone in life, because I hear my wonderful community, part of a wonderful, deep community of an honorable community. So please feel free to make any comment or ask any question you like.
Hey, Doc. Juan Soto. How you doing, buddy?
Juan, always good to hear from you, Juan.
You too, Doc. I'm glad you're doing well. My question is, what advice do you give to those who already gave up, which I had a neighbor, God rest his soul, where he had cancer and he gave up smoking maybe for a week or so and then just got back into it. So when I see him, I would tell him, hey, Mike, you're not supposed to be smoking. What's going on? And he just replied to that answer, I'm going to die anyway, so why give up now?
Okay, let me address that. Very, very good question. Let me tell you a story that Hugh was here, gets tired of hearing about. I'm going to tell the story. It's a pancake story. So I'm at a restaurant and talking to this guy at the other table. He's got 4 or 5 of his kids at the table with him. He tells me he has diabetes. His blood sugar goes up to 300. Well, that could end up making you blind. You could end up in dialysis. It's very dangerous. And so we're sitting there, the waitress brings out some food, brings to him a stack of pancakes like that high, made of white flour, which turns to no difference between sugar and pancakes, so that turns to glucose in the bloodstream, just glucose. And then he takes some maple syrup and he drowns it in syrup, just all sugar. I looked at him. I said, hey, bro, I don't mean to put my nose in your business, but didn't you just tell me you have diabetes? He says, yeah, I just can't help it. So he ate this thing knowing it's killing him. Afterwards, when they were leaving, one of his sons came up and hugged me and said, thanks for trying to help my dad. But this guy knew it was killing him. He knew it. And when people go to the shopping carts, you look at what people put in their food, the supermarkets, alcohol, cigarettes, highly sugared foods, processed foods, and then it's not a matter of ignorance anymore. People know that's not good for you. It's not ignorance. 30 years ago it was ignorance. Now it's, I want to enjoy myself. Hey, you only live once, I want to enjoy myself. You know what I say to that? I say, well, yeah, you're going to enjoy it. I understand. But you're not going to like how you die. You're lucky if you drop that, boom, and you're gone. But if you stroke out, you're paralyzed, you can't even wipe your own butt, you're going to wish you hadn't smoked. So we all have to die sometime. Now, in his case, would he live longer if he stopped? Probably. And it's good that you cared enough to say something to him. But that's what people say, I want to enjoy my life. You only live once. But he may not he has that cancer, but he may stroke out. And so he's got cancer and stroke and can hardly move. He's not going to like it. Just not going to like it. He'd be lucky if he just drops dead of a heart attack. That'd be nice for him. But yeah. But, that's something you can point out. Hey, you're not necessarily going to like what's going to happen to you. I mean, you're going to die. You have this cancer. You might even beat the cancer, but if you get a stroke out, you can't move, you can't talk, you're just going to be laying there. You're going to wish you hadn't smoked, brother. If you're close enough to say that to them, you can. Sometimes you can't say this to people. But, Yeah, no, I'm really glad you brought that up, Juan. He could not control it. He was powerless against it. And now, I'll tell you what he would stop. I'll tell you how he could stop. Absolutely, 100%. In fact, I could tell you a solution where he won't even be tempted to touch the cigarettes. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Where he won't even think about it. If you could hire a mafia contractor who's going to follow him around day and night with a .45 pointed at your friend's head, and your friend knew for certain that this guy's going to blow his brains out if he touched the cigarette. He can't say, "Hey, Tony, get me a piece of weed," and then go light up. He said, "No, Tony's not going to go get it. He's going to stand there with a .45 over your head." He sits in the toilet, goes in the bathroom, can't get away from Tony. Tony's in there with a .45 towards his head. And he's convinced this guy's going to blow his brains out. Well, let me tell you something. He won't smoke. He won't even be tempted to smoke. Won't even be tempted. Because he knows Tony will blow his brains out. So temptation is only there because some part of you thinks you can get away with it. But if you got Tony there with a .45 at your head and you know he's going to blow your brains out, so what does that tell you? The temptation and the doing of these wrong things is there because you think you can get away with it. So, but unfortunately, you can't hire Tony. He's not for hire, and he's not going to be a Tony. But that's the only way that would not only stop him smoking. I guarantee it. I won't even be tempted.
Yes.
So now you know the secret of temptation, because I can get away with it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Some just give up easier than others, I guess.
Hopefully he has a fast death. I mean, he just drops, boom, and he's gone. But that might not be the case with cigarettes. It could be a long way out. There's a quick way out. It could be a long way out. And I wish him the best. I have nothing but good wishes for your friend. Thanks for bringing it up, Juan.
He passed on. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
How long? He was only 59 years old.
He was a young man. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. From the time you said to him, "Hey, you've got cancer. You want to be stopping," from that time to he died, what was the length of time?
Oh, I'd probably want to say maybe 2 months, if that.
All right. So he got to enjoy 2 months. He was gone. Let me tell you something. My father-in-law, blessed memory, I never met him, but he was a smoker. And the doctor said, if you don't stop smoking, you'll be dead in 6 months. 6 months later, he was dead. Kept smoking. My father was just eating, getting fatter and fatter. I said, "Dad, this is killing you." He said, "I know, son." He said, "I guess it's an unconscious death wish." He said, "I guess it's an unconscious death wish." 1 year later, he was dead. Yeah, well, John Shaw, my brother, a beautiful human being, he smoked to the end. But my wife controlled his cigarettes, so she would only got him down to 2 cigarettes a day. And then he looked like he died. The paramedics came, was turning blue, and took him to the hospital. They revived him. And as soon as he gained consciousness, he spoke Farsi. I don't speak much Farsi. I speak English. He started going like this, like he wanted a cigarette in the emergency room. Then he died.
The last puff in, I guess.
He died the next day. But we're just powerless in many. I want to tell you, you're very powerful, very, very powerful, and very, very weak. But I'm giving you some ways to deal with that, to make an honorable plan, or to make a plan to be less dishonorable. Thank you for that, Juan. Who else has something you'd like to ask or say?
I'd like to ask something.
Yes, who's speaking?
This is Kayla.
Kayla, wonderful hearing from you, Kayla.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Let's hear what you have to say.
I can definitely relate to Juan Soto because my mother has a problem and my grandmother had a problem. My grandmother had 3 strokes, and my mom, I guess she became an alcoholic as well right after. And so she caved into her own addictions, and she's been struggling with smoking forever, but she's to the point where she just doesn't want to help herself, and she's given up. And what do you do if you can't hire somebody to put a gun to their head?
Well, a lot of times what it takes is for the person to die or almost die. If they almost die, they say, I guess I can't get away with it. I want to stop. I mean, I was guilty of that when I was in my 60s. When I was 65, I took the title strongest drug-free man in the world for my age and my weight. But I would eat, get big. So when I was 61, I had a heart attack. And then a year later, I set a world record. Then I took the title strongest drug-free man in the world at 65. And then I had prostate cancer. And then I went to labile hypertension in my late 60s. And then I said, okay, now the goal is staying alive. I really wanted to stay alive. I came close to death a number of times in my life. I said, you know what? I don't want to die. I want to stay alive. So once you say, I want to stay alive, and that's a priority because I almost died. And a number of times I've had 2 heart attacks in my life. I've had prostate cancer. I've got 6 coronary stents in my heart. And then I said, okay, now it's the thing of staying alive. I know for sure, without a doubt, that this stuff's going to kill me. There was no doubt in my mind. I was like Tony walking around with a 45 on my head. I knew this was going to kill me. So then I eat very clean diet, I'm very healthy. I'll be 85 in 5 months. I'm strong. I'm healthy. God kept me around to do what I'm doing with you. At some point, the person, if they come to the point where they say, I want to stay alive, that's a priority. And for many of us, including me, I had to be close to death to really say, okay, now the job is staying alive. If that happens, so they may have to come close to death, and hopefully not pass away in that process.
Yeah, it's scary with those people because she did quit drinking, thank God, since she was hospitalized with pancreatitis. But then now it's the smoking. She has COPD, gets sick every other month on antibiotics.
Oh,
and
she
I'm
can't
just
breathe.
That,
she can't breathe. Oh my God.
Yeah, and so I'm a nurse, so I worry about her ever being hospitalized or something like that because, we just take our health for granted. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is a death wish. But
my father thought in his case it was an unconscious death wish. Freud talked about that. For some people, staying alive is overrated. If you don't have a sense of purpose in life, you figure, what the heck? I've lived my life. I'll go. If you have a sense of purpose in life, then you say, okay, I want to stay. I have a very strong sense of purpose in life. And you're part of it. What we're doing together right now is part of that purpose, bringing the honor movement to you and to the world. Bring it into myself and bring it to the world and to you. But without a strong sense of purpose, it weakens the will to live. It just weakens the will to live. I mean, how many men 6 months after retirement were drop dead, heart attacks? Right? Their sense of purpose was their careers, their work life. And they retired, 6 months later, they're dead. That's pretty common. They didn't have a sense of purpose. So, if your mom has a sense of purpose, a strong sense of purpose, that'll strengthen the life instinct. But if she doesn't, say, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'll just keep doing this. I don't care if I die. It's fine with me. Hopefully I'll die in my sleep. The key is, does your mom have a strong sense of purpose? I doubt it, but you tell me.
I guess she struggled with that her whole life. Maybe that's the issue. Back and forth with careers and poor growing up. And
she has all that background, but does she have a strong sense of purpose now, or she does not have that today?
I don't think she does, because I just gave her a grandbaby, and she said that was going to be motivation for her to quit smoking and do better. And
that might do it. That might do it.
Hasn't.
It wasn't. So she doesn't. That's not enough purpose for her. That's not really. That's not.
I'm like, what do I need to give you 3 grandbabies to make you stop? I don't know.
Well, maybe she doesn't want to be bothered with raising another kid. I mean, it sounds better than it is. They said, I don't want to have to help changing the diapers and be a full-time babysitter. Maybe I'm just conjecturing now because I don't know your mom.
No, she doesn't have to help, but I think that her problem is addiction. She escapes her own mind with I guess, substances, and that's been her problem her whole life. And now it's just
Well-
marijuana.
Well, this demonstrates the point. In her way, she's a very powerful woman. She has a power of volition. At the same time, she's very weak, like all of us. We have that power. I read to you about Paul. I read to you about Alan Watts. Anybody I've known, I've seen tremendous power and I've seen tremendous weakness. Certainly applies to me.
You know, Dr. Nerenberg, I think you have a very good point there. I'm kind of on that end. I quit smoking for about 9 years, and I just started back again about a year, maybe about 2 years ago.
Oh, you're a nurse. And you're a nurse.
No, I'm Cheryl. I was
Cheryl. Okay.
I was listening to her, and I kind of saw myself in some ways, especially with becoming a new grandmother about 2 months ago, and my daughter, wanted me to quit smoking because of my grandson, and like I mentioned, I quit smoking about 8 years ago, and I started back again.
But that's not enough to make you. That's not enough to stop you from smoking now. Is that right? Having a grandchild?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I want to, and it's definitely in my heart. But with the amount of stress level I was in.
Cheryl, let me interrupt you a second. Okay, let's make a plan together right now. It's not honorable. You could become a burden. Your death is going to be painful for everybody. And you could become a burden if you stroke out, a burden to your family and to the hospital system, right? Is that a fact?
Yes, my mom told me that as well.
Now, okay. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm just saying, so it's not honorable to be smoking. Now, would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. We all have weakness. So believe me, I don't sit in judgment at all.
No, but
when I say this question,
I just wanted to say something because her message spoke to me, and I didn't want her to think that her mother doesn't value, being a grandmother and having, being there for her grandchildren.
So you're an example that you care about your grandchildren, but you feel powerless. But let me ask you a question. And in your heart, you want to stop. You said that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what kind of plan could you make to be less dishonorable? Right now it's dishonorable. What kind of plan can you make to be less dishonorable? What would be an example of that? Given your how much do you smoke?
Not very much. Probably less than half a pack a day.
Half a pack a day.
When I feel anxiety and I feel like smoking a cigarette will make me feel more calm.
And it does make you feel more calm. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's effective. That's one of the reasons you're stuck on it, because it works. All right.
Yes.
So, so there's what, 20 cigarettes in a pack? How many cigarettes?
Yeah, 20 cigarettes in a pack.
So you're smoking 10 a day?
About that or less.
All right, 10. Okay. Now, could you go to 9?
I don't know. I usually a pack usually lasts me about 2 days.
Oh, okay. So you're doing 5 cigarettes a day. Oh, a pack lasts you 2 days. That's 10 a day. No, that's right.
20 cigarettes in a pack,
okay, yeah. So 10 a day.
Probably about
10 a
2
day.
days.
Okay, 10 a day. All right. Let me ask you this. This is a plan to be less dishonorable. Can you make it last 3 days?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a plan to be less dishonorable. You're still stuck in it. You're still weak around the area, but you're going to make it go 3 days. Well, that's the start.
Hey, Doc.
You haven't committed. Hang on a second. You haven't committed to stopping, but you got to make a plan to be less dishonorable. Very good. That's the plan. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for normalizing the experience that she was having, and that you as a grandmother can care and still not give up the habit. That's a beautiful contribution you made. Thank you.
I just don't want her to think. I just don't want her to think it's about her or her grandchild.
Yeah. Well,
it could, because it's not, honey. It's not.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that, because it was hard at first. And it's hard not to take it personal sometimes, but I understand she has her struggles.
Well, you were the perfect person to speak up on this, Cheryl, for helping her. Thank you for doing that. Beautiful. Thank
Hey,
you.
Doc.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope I feel better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is this Juan?
Hey, Doc, if I can say something to Cheryl about her smoking. She said she stopped 8 years ago.
Yeah.
What made you stop, Cheryl? Like, is it something?
I have a thyroid problem.
Okay.
And I quit cold turkey.
Okay. So was that something that you felt good about, or was it something that?
Well, it's something I felt like I had to do because I was suffering.
Okay.
So did it help your thyroid problem?
Well, I think you and I discussed this before, Dr. Nerenberg. I have Graves' disease.
Oh yeah.
And I had, when I found, well, I almost suffered a heart attack. That's why I went into the hospital, and I discovered I had Graves' disease, and I quit that day. And I quit for actually more than 8 years. It was like almost 10 years that I quit. And then I started my job, and I started getting really bad anxiety. And it's really done its toll on me.
Cheryl,
I'm not the same person at all.
Cheryl, let me interrupt you for a second. Cheryl, let me interrupt you a second, okay? You made a very, very, very powerful point. I admire you for the awareness you have, and I admire you for sharing it. I'll tell you what the point is. I started this lecture by saying how powerless we all are. I said how powerful we are, but how powerless. So here is something that you know is very dangerous for you, and you're still not stopping. Like my father-in-law. He said the doctor said he'd be dead in 6 months if you don't stop smoking. Well, he was dead in 6 months. So look at the powerlessness. This is not something to say anything negative. I just want to point out human nature. Look at the powerlessness. Look at it. And I know. And Cheryl is a strong lady. Let me tell you, there's no weakling here. I'll tell you that. Not a weak person. But look how powerless it is. Look how powerless.
Thank you.
Look how and that's the human condition. Powerless. If it's not smoking, it's alcohol, it's pornography, it's eating bad foods. It's being an angry person addicted to your angers. We have to deal with that dichotomy of enormous power and enormous weakness. And I'm giving you tools to illuminate, showing us the powerlessness. And here she feels guilty. So now I talk to you about the guilt. All right. So I'm not going to try to get you to stop smoking. I mean, there are all kinds of things. Oh, it's going to damage you. If you didn't do this, you save so much money. You could buy a new car in 6 months with the money you save. None of that's going to do any good. But this goes beyond being reasonable. Now, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so what I can help you with, this is a plan, an honorable plan. I want you to say this. God forgives me, and I want to forgive myself. Can you say that?
God forgives me, and I want to forgive myself.
I can hear the emotion in your voice. God forgives me, and I want to forgive myself. One more time, please.
God forgives me, and I want to forgive myself.
Okay. What are the tears about on that?
So many things.
Tell me.
Guilt, shame, things I can't control.
Okay, great. Thank you. You know why I'm saying thank you so much? Because you've demonstrated the nature of the human being. You've demonstrated you're alive. You're a live demonstration. I couldn't have arranged a better situation for the education of all of us. In the powerlessness of the human being. From a strong lady. Oh, nobody's going to tell me you're not strong. You're strong. I know you.
Thank you.
But look at the weakness. And the same applies to Paul. I mean, Paul was so spiritual. He was filled with the Holy Spirit. That which he hates, he did. Not what he would do, he would not do. Whew. And that guy's one of the main, besides Jesus, one of the main movers of Christianity. And Watts, brilliant. Understood, was talking about detachment and transcendence. And the guy was an alcoholic, ruined his marriages, his family. Look at that. Now, so right now, what you can help yourself with is God forgives me and I want to forgive myself. Actually, the guilt actually sometimes makes the habit worse. And the shame. It doesn't help it. But nonetheless, we could at least have a plan to reduce your guilt and shame over it. And in time, when time is right, you're going to stop. The time is not right now, maybe tomorrow. And you're going to stretch it out to 3 days. But the time will come when you will stop. But thank you for demonstrating beyond a shadow of a doubt live. I mean, I've told you stories about the powerlessness of humanity, but you are a live demonstration of it. Thank you so much for that. It's a great gift you've given to all of us. Thank you for that. The great weakness, fragileness of us as human beings, and the great power, the amazing spiritual, psychological, and physical strength that we have. Both. Wow. Thank you so much.
Dr. Nerenberg.
Who's speaking?
Kayla.
Kayla. Okay, Kayla.
I just want to really thank Cheryl for speaking up, and also you brought up a good point about powerlessness. I feel like in my whole life, everyone that I've seen struggle with addictions, it runs in my family, and like no matter what, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, you name it, I've seen people struggle. And one thing I've noticed is that in their life, the more powerless they feel with whatever's going on, the more they avert to doing those things that hurt them more for some reason. So it is something unique about being human and being powerless. It just makes us very vulnerable.
That's the word, vulnerable.
Definitely relatable.
That's the word. We're all very vulnerable, very, very vulnerable. Thank you for saying that, Kayla, because that's the reality. So again, I want to emphasize the great power that we have, the amazing progress as we make a civilization, amazing power that we have as humans. And right with that is that vulnerability, that powerlessness. And one reason I want to tell you about this is I want to normalize this for you. I want to normalize it for you. I don't want you to feel alone with this. You're not. We are not alone with this. Nobody ever told me. You just see people, so strong, they can do this. You go, what? I'm not like that, but that guy is. No. It's a human condition. Great power, great strength, great weakness. I want you to feel normal with that. I want to normalize that for you. I don't want it to hurt your self-esteem. I'm so weak. Yeah, you're weak. I'm weak. But we're very powerful. And we can make an honorable plan or plan to be less dishonorable. We can do that. Wow. So I'm so grateful to you. Well, it's been my pleasure and my privilege and my enjoyment to present to you how to deal with your own dishonorable thoughts, words, and actions.